Blake Shelton has long been one of the most recognizable voices in country music, a man whose songs, humor, and larger-than-life personality have connected with millions of fans across the world. From heartfelt ballads about love and loss to upbeat anthems that celebrate simple living, Blake has built a career that feels deeply personal to many listeners. However, in recent years, it hasn't just been his music grabbing attention. Instead, growing rumors about his marriage to pop icon Gwen Stefani have sparked widespread curiosity, concern, and speculation among fans and media outlets alike. Headlines have suggested tension, distance, and even possible divorce, leaving many wonder whether the couple's fairy tale romance might be facing serious trouble behind the scenes. These rumors did not appear overnight. They slowly built over time, fueled by Blake and Gwen's busy careers, their time spent apart due to work commitments, and the intense public attention that follows any high-profile celebrity couple. For fans who remember Blake's past marriages and divorces, the whispers felt especially unsettling. Was history repeating itself? Was his third marriage also heading toward an emotional ending? Social media posts, tabloid articles, and online gossip channels eagerly pushed these questions, often without solid evidence, creating a wave of uncertainty that refused to fade. What made the situation even more dramatic was the silence. For a long time, Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani chose not to directly respond to the rumors. While silence can sometimes calm speculation, in the world of celebrity news, it often does the opposite. The lack of clear statements led fans to analyze every appearance, every interview, and every song lyric for hidden meaning. A missed public event or a vague quote was enough to reignite divorce talk all over again. The pressure only grew stronger as time passed. Yet beneath the noise and assumptions lies a deeper story, one shaped by personal loss, emotional growth, and lessons learned from past relationships. Blake Shelton's journey to this point has not been easy, and neither has Gwen Stefani's. Both artists have experienced heartbreak in very public ways, making them especially vulnerable to judgment and rumor. Understanding their backgrounds is key to understanding why these rumors gain so much traction and why their response to the matter is so deeply as the rumors reach their peak. Fans waited anxiously for clarity. Would Blake finally break his silence? Would Gwen address the whispers directly? When they eventually did, what they shared surprised many people. Instead of confirming the fears circulating online, their words revealed something far more human and relatable. Insecurity, honesty, and a strong bond tested not by betrayal, but by outside noise. To truly understand how they arrived at this moment, it's important to look back at Blake Shelton's life, his career, his past relationships, and the experiences that shaped him into the man he is today. Blake Shelton was born on June 18, 1976, in Ada, Oklahoma, a small town where music and family played a central role in daily life. Raised by his parents, Dorothy and Shelton and Richard Lee Shelton, Blake grew up in a home where creativity was encouraged and emotional expression was welcomed. Music wasn't just entertainment in the Shelton household. It was a way of connecting, healing, and understanding the world. From an early age, Blake showed a natural talent and deep interest in music, often singing and performing whenever he had the chance. And a major influence in Blake's musical development was his uncle, who recognized the young boy's passion and took it seriously. When Blake was just 12 years old, his uncle taught him how to play the guitar, opening the door to songwriting and deeper musical exploration. These early lessons were more than technical training. They gave Blake a sense of purpose and confidence at a time when he was still figuring out who he was. Music quickly became his emotional outlet, something he leaned on during both joyful and painful moments. Tragedy struck Blake's life at a young age when his older brother, Richie Shelton, died in a devastating car accident. The loss shook Blake to his core and left a lasting emotional mark that would follow him throughout his life. Richie wasn't just a sibling. He was a hero, a role model, and a guiding presence. Losing him created a deep sense of grief that Blake has openly spoken about in later years. This pain found its way into his music, giving his songs a raw honesty that many fans relate to. Despite the heartbreak, Blake chose not to let tragedy define him. Instead, he used it as fuel to move forward. After finishing high school, he made the bold decision to leave Oklahoma and pursue a music career in Nashville, Tennessee. It was a risky move, especially for someone so young, but Blake believed in his talent and was willing to work hard to prove himself. In Nashville, He faced rejection, uncertainty, and long periods of waiting, but he remained determined. In 1997, Blake signed his first recording contract with Sony Music, a major milestone that suggested his dreams were within reach. However, the path to success was far from smooth. Early setbacks tested his patience and confidence, reminding him that the music industry could be harsh and unpredictable. These early struggles helped shape Blake's resilience and humility, qualities that would later define both his public image and personal relationships. Blake Shelton's early career was filled with both promise and frustration. In 2001, he signed with Giant Records and prepared to release his debut single, believing it would finally launch him into mainstream success. Unfortunately, the record label rejected the song he had chosen, and to make matters worse, another artist released the same song and turned it into a #1 hit. For Blake, it was a crushing moment, one that could have easily ended his career before it truly began. Yet once again, he refused to give up. Shortly after, Giant Records shut down entirely, leaving Blake in professional limbo. What seemed like a disaster turned out to be a turning point. He was transferred to Warner Brothers Records, the parent company of Giant, where he released the song Austin. The track became a massive success, rising to the top of the Billboard Hot Country Singles chart and introducing Blake Shelton to a national audience. Almost overnight, he went from struggling artist to rising star. Building on that success, Blake released his self-titled debut album, which performed well commercially. While critics had mixed opinions, fans connected strongly with his sound and authenticity. His second album, The Dreamer, continued that momentum, earning gold certification and producing another #1 hit. Blake's career was clearly on an upward path, but behind the scenes, his personal life was already facing challenges. In 2003, Blake married his longtime girlfriend, Gwen. At the time, the relationship seemed solid, built on years of dating and shared experiences. However, fame can change dynamics quickly, and the pressures of Blake's growing career began to take a toll. Touring, recording, and public attention created distance and strain, making it difficult to maintain the stability they once had. By 2006, the marriage ended in divorce. While Blake did not publicly share every detail, it was clear that the split affected him deeply. This first divorce planted early seeds of doubt in the minds of fans whenever Blake later entered new relationships. It also reinforced a pattern that tabloids would eagerly revisit years later: the idea that Blake Shelton struggled to balance love and career. After his divorce from Gwen, Blake Shelton's life entered a new chapter, both personally and professionally. In 2005, he met fellow country singer Miranda Lambert at CMT's 100 Greatest Duets concert, and their connection was immediate. At the time, Blake was still married, but the meeting planted the seed for what would later become one of country music's most talked about relationships. When Blake and Gwen divorced in 2006, Blake and Miranda soon began dating, and fans quickly embraced them as a powerful and passionate couple. Their shared love for country music, songwriting, and performance brought them closer, and their chemistry was clear both on and off stage. During this period, Blake's career continued to rise. He released his album Pure BS in 2007, which produced multiple successful singles and strengthened his reputation as a consistent hitmaker. Miranda, too, was building her own successful career, and together they became one of the most admired couples in country music. Their relationship seemed exciting, creative, and full of promise. In 2010, Blake proposed to Miranda, and the couple married in 2011 in a ceremony surrounded by friends, family, and fellow musicians. For many fans, this marriage felt like a perfect match. However, fame can place heavy pressure on even the strongest relationships. Both Blake and Miranda were highly successful, constantly touring, recording, and appearing in public. While they supported each other professionally, the demands of their careers often kept them apart. Over time, differences in lifestyle, communication, and priorities began to surface. Though they collaborated musically and shared emotional moments, cracks quietly formed beneath the surface. In 2015, after 4 years of marriage, Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert announced their divorce. The news shocked fans and quickly became headline news across entertainment media. In a joint statement, they emphasized respect and privacy, explaining that the future they had imagined together had changed. While no dramatic accusations were made publicly, The breakup reinforced a growing narrative that Blake Shelton struggled to maintain long-term relationships under the spotlight. For Blake, the divorce was deeply painful. He has since admitted that it was one of the darkest periods of his life, emotionally and mentally. The end of his second marriage left him questioning himself, his choices, and his ability to find lasting love. Once again, the public watched closely, and the media speculated endlessly. This second divorce would later play a major role in how fans reacted to rumors about his third marriage, making every whisper feel more believable. Despite personal heartbreak, Blake Shelton's professional life reached new heights in the early 2010s. In 2011, he joined NBC's reality singing competition The Voice as a coach, a move that transformed his public image. No longer seen only as a country singer, Blake became a household name, admired for his humor, honesty, and mentorship. His presence on the show introduced him to a broader audience and allowed fans to see a more personal side of him. That same year, Blake released the album Red River Blue, which became one of the most successful projects of his career. Songs like Honeybee, God Gave Me You, and Drink on It dominated the country charts, with several reaching #1. The music reflected both joy and vulnerability, resonating with fans who sensed the emotional depth behind his lyrics. Blake was no longer just successful, he was thriving. However, tragedy struck again when Blake lost his father after a long period of illness. The loss reopened emotional wounds connected to his brother's death years earlier. Instead of hiding the pain, Blake chose to express it through music. Together with Miranda Lambert, he recorded the song Over You, which honored his late brother and explored the lasting impact of grief. The song was widely praised and earned major awards, including CMA Song of the Year. Through The Voice, Blake found a new sense of purpose. Mentoring young artists helped him heal and rediscover joy beyond his own success. He won multiple seasons as a coach, strengthening his reputation as both a leader and a genuine supporter of others. Still, despite professional fulfillment, Blake felt something missing in his personal life. After his divorce, loneliness and self-doubt lingered quietly beneath his public smile. It was during this time of emotional vulnerability that Blake Shelton met someone who would change his life in an unexpected way. That meeting would eventually become the foundation of his third marriage and the center of the rumors that would later follow him. Gwen Stefani was born on October 3, 1969, in Fullerton, California, into a close-knit family that valued creativity and expression. Raised by her parents, Dennis Stefani and Patty Flynn, Gwen grew up surrounded by music, fashion, and artistic curiosity. Her older brother Eric played a major role in shaping her musical journey, introducing her to ska and new wave music that would later define her sound. In 1986, Eric invited Gwen to join his band, No Doubt, marking the beginning of her professional music career. The band struggled in its early years, facing limited success and industry setbacks. Their first album failed to make an impact, but Gwen remained committed, pouring her emotions into songwriting. Her honesty and unique vocal style slowly set her apart. Everything changed in 1995 with the release of No Doubt's album Tragic Kingdom. The song Don't Speak became a global hit, and Gwen Stefani rose to international fame almost overnight. Her bold fashion choices, expressive performances, and emotional lyrics made her a cultural icon. Yet fame brought its own challenges. Gwen often spoke about insecurity, pressure, and the difficulty of staying grounded while constantly in the public eye. As her career expanded, Gwen explored solo projects, collaborations, and acting opportunities. Still, beneath the success, her personal life remained complicated. Relationships deeply influenced her music, and heartbreak often became the fuel for her creativity. This emotional openness would later connect her strongly with Blake Shelton, who understood pain in a similar way to in the late 1990s. Gwen Stefani began dating Gavin Rossdale, the lead singer of the band Bush. Their relationship attracted attention, blending two major music worlds. The couple married in 2002 and later welcomed 3 sons together. For a time, their family life appeared stable and happy, but behind closed doors, challenges were growing. As years passed, trust issues and emotional distance began to surface. Gwen has since shared that she felt blindsided by the end of the marriage. In 2015, she filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The split deeply affected her. shaking her confidence and sense of identity. Once again, her pain became public conversation. Music helped Gwen survive this period. She released deeply personal songs that reflected heartbreak, self-reflection, and healing. Though devastated, she slowly rebuilt her confidence, focusing on her children and career. It was during this fragile time that fate placed her alongside Blake Shelton on The Voice. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani first connected as coaches on The Voice, bonding over shared experiences of divorce and emotional loss. What began as friendship soon grew into something deeper. Both were hesitant, cautious, and healing, but they found comfort in each other's understanding. In 2015, they confirmed their relationship, surprising fans who never expected a country star and a pop icon to fall in love. Despite differences in style and background, their connection felt genuine. They supported each other musically, emotionally, and personally. Blake often spoke about how Gwen helped save him during his darkest days. Their relationship moved steadily, not rushed. They collaborated on music, spent time with family, and avoided unnecessary drama. Still, the public watched closely, ready to question every move. Eventually, Gwen Stefani openly addressed the rumors, firmly dismissing claims of marital trouble. She explained that shared values, trust, and love formed the foundation of their relationship. Blake echoed her words, emphasizing honesty and vulnerability as their greatest strengths. Rather than confirming divorce rumors, they confirmed something else entirely: growth. Their story is not about perfection, but about healing, communication, and choosing love despite fear. Blake Shelton did not confirm the end of his marriage. He confirmed its strength. After the rumors about their marriage began to fade, Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani quietly returned to what mattered most to them: family, music, and peace away from constant noise. While tabloids often thrive on drama and speculation, the couple chose a different path. Instead of fighting every headline or rumor, they focused on living their lives authentically. This approach slowly changed the public conversation. Fans began to notice that despite endless online gossip, Blake and Gwen continued to appear relaxed, supportive, and deeply connected whenever they were seen together. Their actions spoke louder than any denial ever could. Blake Shelton, in particular, showed a noticeable shift in how he approached fame and relationships. Having lived through multiple divorces under public scrutiny, he appeared more grounded and self-aware than ever before. Friends close to the singer described him as calmer, more reflective, and far less reactive to outside opinions. Gwen Stefani's influence was often credited for this change. Her ability to balance creativity, motherhood, and emotional honesty helped Blake find stability in areas of his life that once felt fragile. Gwen, too, experienced growth through this period. After years of questioning herself and feeling exposed during past breakups, she learned to trust her instincts again. Addressing rumors openly but calmly gave her a sense of control she hadn't always felt in earlier relationships. She spoke about learning to separate real problems from imagined ones, especially in an age where social media can turn silence into suspicion. By acknowledging her own insecurities instead of hiding them, Gwen reshaped the narrative around her marriage. Together, the couple embraced a quieter lifestyle. Time spent at Blake's Oklahoma ranch became a symbol of their desire for simplicity. Away from flashing cameras and constant expectations, they found comfort in everyday routines: cooking meals, spending time with Gwen's children, and writing music together without pressure. These moments reminded them that their relationship was not built for public approval, but for mutual understanding. Professionally, both artists continued to thrive. Blake remained a respected figure in country music and television, while Gwen balanced solo projects, collaborations, and fashion ventures. What stood out, however, was how they supported each other without competing. Unlike some celebrity couples, they didn't feel the need to prove anything. Their partnership was built on encouragement rather than comparison. Over time, fans began to see the rumors for what they truly were: reflections of fear, not facts. Fear based on Blake's past, Gwen's vulnerability, and the public's tendency to expect failure rather than growth. By staying consistent, honest, and united, Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani quietly dismantled those expectations. Their story serves as a reminder that not every love story follows a smooth path. Some are shaped by loss, mistakes, and healing. What matters is not how many times someone falls, but how they rise and choose differently. In confirming the truth about their relationship, Blake Shelton didn't just put rumors to rest. He showed that real strength often lives in silence, patience, and the courage to keep loving despite doubt. Even after Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani clearly addressed the rumors surrounding their marriage, questions continued to resurface, leaving many fans wondering why the speculation never fully disappeared. The answer lies not in their relationship itself, but in how celebrity culture works today. In the modern media world, silence is often treated as evidence, vulnerability is mistaken for weakness, and honesty is twisted into drama. For Blake and Gwen, their openness about emotions, especially insecurity, became fuel for misunderstanding rather than clarity. One major reason the rumors kept returning is Blake Shelton's past. Having gone through 2 highly public divorces, Blake became an easy target for assumptions. Many fans and gossip outlets formed a narrative that his relationships simply do not last. This idea followed him into his marriage with Gwen Stefani, creating a lens through which every action was judged. A quiet period, a solo appearance, or a reflective interview was quickly framed as a sign of trouble. In reality, these moments were normal parts of life, but history made them seem suspicious. Gwen Stefani's honesty also played a role. When she spoke openly about her insecurities, fears of aging, and moments of doubt, some listeners misunderstood her words. Instead of seeing vulnerability as emotional maturity, they interpreted it as instability. Gwen's willingness to admit she overthinks or worries deeply was not a confession of marital problems. It was an admission of being human. Unfortunately, in celebrity culture, humanity often gets lost in translation. Another factor was their decision not to constantly defend themselves. Blake and Gwen did not rush to correct every false headline or online comment. While this approach helped protect their peace, it also allowed rumors to grow unchecked in certain spaces. Many fans are used to celebrities responding instantly, and when that doesn't happen, they assume the worst. What those fans often forget is that constant public defense can actually damage a relationship more than silence ever could. Social media also played a powerful role. Platforms thrive on engagement, and nothing attracts clicks like relationship drama. Even recycled rumors from years earlier were reposted as breaking news, reaching new audiences who did not know the full story. Each repost made the rumors feel fresh, even when nothing had changed. Over time, repetition created the illusion of truth. What many fans misunderstood most was the nature of Blake and Gwen's bond. Their relationship is not loud or dramatic. It is built on shared pain, mutual respect, and deep emotional understanding. This kind of connection does not always translate well into headlines or viral moments. It exists quietly, away from spectacle, which makes it harder for outsiders to recognize. In the end, the persistence of rumors says more about public expectations than about Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani themselves. People often expect celebrity marriages to fail, especially when both partners have been hurt before. Growth challenges that expectation, and not everyone is comfortable accepting it. Blake and Gwen's story forces fans to confront a simple truth. Past mistakes do not define future outcomes. Their marriage is not perfect, but it is real. And in a world addicted to scandal, reality can sometimes be the hardest thing to believe. One of the most important parts of Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani's story is not the rumors themselves, but how Blake changed as a partner over time. When Blake looks back on his earlier marriages, he has openly admitted that he was not always emotionally ready for the level of commitment a lasting relationship requires. In his younger years, success came quickly, and with it came distractions, pressure, and emotional distance. Like many people, Blake struggled to balance ambition with intimacy, often leaning too heavily on work when relationships needed attention. With Gwen, however, something was different. By the time they met, Blake had already experienced heartbreak, regret, and self-reflection. Those painful lessons forced him to look inward and recognize patterns he didn't want to repeat. He began to understand that love does not survive on attraction or shared success alone. It requires patience, communication, and emotional availability, qualities he had not always prioritized before. This awareness marked a turning point in how Blake approached love. Blake has spoken about how Gwen encouraged him to slow down emotionally. Instead of reacting with humor or avoidance, which had been his usual defense mechanisms, he learned to sit with difficult feelings and talk through them. Gwen's openness about her own fears created a safe space where vulnerability was not judged. For Blake, this was unfamiliar territory at first, but over time, It became the foundation of trust between them. Another major change was how Blake viewed conflict. In previous relationships, disagreements often felt like threats. With Gwen, conflict became something to understand rather than escape. Blake learned that arguing does not mean failing. It means caring enough to work through differences. This shift helped him become more emotionally present, not only as a husband, but also as a stepfather to Gwen's children. Marriage to Gwen also changed Blake's relationship with fame. Earlier in his career, public approval mattered deeply to him. After years in the spotlight, he realized how quickly opinions can turn and how little control anyone truly has over public perception. Gwen shared this understanding, having experienced intense scrutiny herself. Together, they made a conscious choice to protect their private life. Even if it meant allowing rumors to exist without response, Blake's growth was not sudden or dramatic. It happened quietly, through everyday choices, choosing to listen instead of joke, choosing to stay present instead of disappear into work, choosing honesty over pride. These changes are easy to overlook from the outside, but they're the reason this marriage feels different from the ones that came before. This evolution is also why the rumors never held real power inside the relationship. Blake no longer defines himself by public opinion or past mistakes. He defines himself by how he shows up in the present. That confidence, built through growth rather than denial, allowed him to face rumors without fear. In many ways, Gwen Stefani didn't just become Blake Shelton's wife. She became part of his healing process. And Blake, in return, became the partner Gwen needed after years of emotional pain. Their marriage is not about proving anything to the world. It is about choosing each other every day. With honesty and intention, Tio truly understands why Blake Shelton eventually stopped denying the rumors and addressed them openly. It is important to look at the story from Gwen Stefani's point of view. Gwen's life before Blake was marked by emotional shock and public heartbreak. After years of marriage, her divorce came at a time when she believed her family was stable and secure. The sudden collapse of that world left deep emotional scars, making trust something she had to rebuild slowly and carefully. When Gwen first met Blake, she was not searching for love. In fact, she has admitted that she felt emotionally closed off, unsure she would ever feel safe enough to fully open her heart again. The pain of betrayal had made her cautious, especially when it came to men in the music industry, where temptation and distance often destroy relationships. Blake, dealing with his own heartbreak at the time, understood that fear more than anyone else. What made Blake different in Gwen's eyes was not his fame or success, but his emotional honesty. He did not pretend to have everything figured out. Instead, he openly acknowledged his flaws, regrets, and emotional struggles. For Gwen, this kind of honesty was rare and comforting. It showed her that Blake was not trying to impress her. He was trying to understand her. Gwen has often spoken about how Blake's consistency helped her feel safe again. He did not disappear during difficult moments. He did not minimize her fears or rush her healing process. Instead, he showed up quietly and repeatedly, proving through actions rather than words that he could be trusted. Over time, this consistency rebuilt Gwen's sense of emotional security. This emotional safety is also why Gwen handled the rumors differently than many expected. While gossip swirled around their marriage, Gwen remained calm and grounded. She did not feel the need to respond to every headline because her confidence did not come from public approval. It came from the private reality of her relationship. She knew what she and Blake shared, and that knowledge was stronger than any rumor. Gwen's faith also played a significant role in her perspective. She has spoken openly about how prayer and spiritual reflection helped her navigate fear and doubt. Marriage for her is not just a public commitment, but a deeply personal and spiritual one. This belief gave her strength during moments when rumors felt overwhelming. Instead of reacting emotionally, she leaned into patience and trust. Another important part of Gwen's story is her role as a mother. Protecting her children's emotional well-being has always been her priority. The stability Blake brought into their lives mattered more to her than outside opinions. She saw how Blake treated her children with kindness and respect, and that reinforced her belief that she had made the right choice. In many ways, Gwen's calm response to rumors reflected her growth. She was no longer the woman trying to hold a broken marriage together. She was someone who had learned the difference between noise and truth. That inner strength allowed Blake the space to speak honestly when he was ready, rather than reacting out of fear. Gwen Stefani's perspective reveals a deeper truth behind the headlines. This marriage was never about proving people wrong. It was about rebuilding trust, finding safety, and choosing peace after pain. And that foundation is what ultimately made the rumors powerless. For a long time, Blake Shelton chose silence whenever rumors about his marriage appeared. This was not because he was unsure of the truth, but because he believed that responding would only give false stories more attention. Over the years, Blake had learned that the public cycle of gossip never truly ends. If you answer one rumor, another quickly takes its place. For him, protecting his private life mattered more than winning arguments online. However, there came a moment when silence no longer felt like the right choice. Blake began to notice how repeated rumors were affecting not only fans, but also the broader conversation around his marriage. Stories were becoming more exaggerated, suggesting serious problems that simply did not exist. At that point, Blake realized that addressing the rumors directly could bring clarity rather than chaos. When Blake finally spoke, his tone was calm and honest. He did not attack the media or criticize fans for believing false stories. Instead, he focused on the reality of his relationship. He explained that marriage, even a happy one, includes quiet moments, emotional conversations, and personal reflection. These normal experiences had been misinterpreted as signs of trouble. By framing his response this way, Blake reminded people that real life does not look like headlines. Another reason Blake chose to speak was respect, for Gwen, for their family, and for himself. He understood that constant speculation could slowly shape public perception if left unchecked. While he did not owe anyone an explanation, he wanted to set the record straight out of integrity rather than defense. His response was not about proving the rumors wrong, but about affirming the truth. Blake also acknowledged his past in a way that felt different from earlier interviews. Instead of distancing himself from previous mistakes, he accepted them as part of his growth. This honesty gave his words more weight. Fans could hear the difference between denial and confidence. He was no longer trying to convince anyone. He was simply speaking from a place of clarity. What stood out most about Blake's response was what he did not say. He did not overshare personal details. He did not describe arguments or private struggles. He respected the boundary between public understanding and private reality. This balance showed maturity and emotional awareness, qualities that many fans found reassuring. Be why addressing the rumors in this way. Blake also shifted the narrative. The focus moved away from speculation and toward personal growth. Instead of asking whether the marriage was in trouble,